Hi there, my name's Damien. Off the back of the video I did on converting a Microsoft form response into a PDF document using Word and no premium actions, I discovered an easier method of creating the metadata for your Word document. And so I'm going to share that information with you today. And if you notice already, I've got one of the Microsoft guides on the screen here, and that is the introduction to content types. So we're actually going to have a look at SharePoint content types in order to achieve this process, this slightly different process, but hopefully slightly easier process. And content types, as you can see here from the description, are all about pulling together information related to a specific file or item. And so you can define multiple content types for a single document library. So if you have watched the original video, you'll remember that I created columns for each of the metadata values for our PDF document that we created, or the Word document that we converted into PDF. And the only issue with that is that you would have to have a separate document library per file that you're trying to populate. So with content types, you can create a different specification, if you want to call it that, for each of the files that you're going to be populating using this technique. So how do we go ahead and set up content types on our SharePoint site? So I've got a brand new site here, never had content types before in its life. And if I go to the document library, it's a plain old document library. If I click on new, we've got all the default file types that we can create. And I have also picked up a modern flyer off of the templates on the Microsoft site. And it's actually this modern flyer that I'm going to attempt to populate. So I'm going to look to do the event name, a subheading, and maybe a description. So we'll create 3 metadata values using a content type for our modern flyer. So back onto our site, I'm going to go to back to the home page, and then to our settings via the cog in the top right corner there, into site information, and then into view all settings. And the first thing we need to do is to create our content type, which is applicable to the whole site. So if you create a new document library, you can use that content type in any of your document libraries. So I'll go ahead and click on content types. And whilst there's a list of existing content types, some of these will be familiar to you already. I am going to go ahead and create a bespoke content type by clicking on create. And the name I'm going to give it is Modern Flyer. And this is my bespoke content type. So you get the option of selecting parent content types, and this is just to make it easier for you to discover throughout the website, or throughout the SharePoint site, sorry. So I'm going to pick the document content types. And in terms of the parent, I'm going to choose document, because this is going to be a document. And then you do have the option of creating groups in order to sort of easily find your content types. I'm just going to use the default and choose OK. So that's created me a brand new content type, and by default it's given me the title column. So that's the only additional metadata value that's applicable to this new content type that I've created. Now, when we looked at our modern flyer, which I'll jump onto again, we've got an event name, a subheading, and some text description. So I'm going to go on back to my content type, and I'm going to add 3 different columns. And I'm not going to add from existing, which I could do if I've already created several content types with columns that I want to use again. I'm going to add new. So my first column name is going to be the event name, and I'm just going to use a single line of text, and I'm going to skip through all these various options here and just accept the default and go ahead and click on OK. And we can see now we have the event name column. I'm going to create another column, And if we quickly look at the flyer again, it's the subheading this time. So create one called subheading and go ahead and hit OK. And then finally, I'll add one more and we will call that the event description, desk for short. And go ahead, OK. So that's us created our new content type, and we've got our 3 new columns: event name, subheading, and event description. And if I now jump onto my document library, and just for the benefit of doubt, I will go to add columns and show and hide columns. We do not have any of those column values showing here on our document library because we need to associate this content type to our document library. So how do we do that? Click on the settings, the cog, and this time we want to go to library settings. So by default, content types are turned off on your document library. So we need to go into advanced settings and we need to go allow management of content types. Yes. And head over to the OK and make that change. And you'll see we've now got content types as an option here, and we want to add from existing site content types. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And if we have a quick look through here, we will hopefully find my event content type, if I can remember what it's called. The modern flyer. What a name. That caught me out for a second there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add, and we can see that we've added the modern flyer content type. I can click on OK. And if I now jump back onto my document library and click the new button, I have the modern flyer document type. Now, I could go ahead and select this document and it would create me an empty document, and that's potentially fine for a template. I could use the same column types for many different documents, so I could create one of many different templates from this drop down. But because I'm just potentially going to use this once for this particular document, and I'm going to edit this content type so it uses a template. So I'm going to jump back onto my settings, onto library settings, onto my content types again, and I select modern flyer. I'm going to go into advanced settings this time, and you can see here it uses in effect the empty template file, Word template file. I'm going to upload a new one because I downloaded this modern flyer earlier. So I'm going to choose a file, and we can see I've got the event template, and I'm going to hit OK. So back onto my document library, if I now go and click new and modern flyer, it will ask me, do I want to open this template? Yes, I do. But it will create a brand new copy of this event template. So the features you need in order to add in these web parts are only available in the desktop client of Word. So I'm going to go ahead and go and open in the desktop app. And I'm going to drag that across here. So here we are. We've got our template Word document. And if you remember before, we went into Insert, and then into Quick Parts, and then into Document Property. And the first thing I want to pull through is event name. So those columns that we've created as part of the content types are now available to this particular document. And so I'll choose event name, and just to keep things kind of like it was, I'll choose a color for that text. The subheading, again, I'll go into Quick Parts, Document Property, and what do we have here? Subheading. And we'll go ahead and change the color of the text again to something as close as possible. There we go, that'll do me. And then for the description, I'm just going to delete that and then go to quick parts again, document properties, and the event description. And we'll make the text here white. Okay, so that's our document set up. It's ready with the quick parts. We've got the event name, we've got the subheading, and we've got the event description. And I'm going to give it a more meaningful name now. So the event flyer, if I can spell, there we go, event flyer. So I'll just wait for it to finish saving. Done. So I'll close my Word document and I am going to close this version of the document too. And we now have our event flyer document with our column metadata. And again, as before, if we look at adding columns and show and hide columns, you can now see we've got event name, subheading, and event description. And if I want to, I can show them. I could potentially create a bespoke view just for this particular type of file, but I'm going to add it to my view here. And I'm going to show you something interesting, maybe not interesting. So I'm going to create a brand new document this time. So not using my document type. I'll just type in a bit of text into the file there. We'll let it save. I'll close Word. And if I go and choose this document, which is not using the content types, click on the ellipsis here, go to details, and then if we look at the properties, you'll notice that it doesn't have these additional column metadata values. So because we've created a bespoke content type, any other document that we create won't inherit these column names. And so if we had multiple documents here or multiple content types using the bespoke columns, only those columns would apply to those files. And so we won't get into a big mess with potentially having multiple document libraries in order to achieve this for multiple different template files. And just to prove, if I go and click on the ellipsis here for the event flyer and click on details, we can see that I do have the event name and the subheading and the event description. So two files in the same document library. One has inherited the different columns because it's been defined as a content type, and the other file has not inherited those columns. So should we try and go ahead and create a flow now that will take a copy of this event flyer and populate the column names so that we get a completed document. Here's a blank flow. Let's give it a go. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and get file content, but not from OneDrive, so I don't know why I clicked on that one. Let's try again. So get file content, and of course we're trying to get that from SharePoint. So I need to go to my new SharePoint site, which is here, new site, and I'm going to go ahead into my shared documents document library, which is my default document library, and pick the event flyer. So that allows me to get the content of that file. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file, and the content of this new file, of course, is going to be the file content of this copy of this template. And the reason we do that is we don't want to overwrite the original file. So again, I'll go and click into my shared document library. In fact, let's start that again. I'm just going to go straight into the shared document. So you'll note that if you click on the arrow here, it'll go deeper into the folder structure. If you click on the button here, you'll just go straight into this particular folder. So that's me confirmed I want the shared documents. So file name, you could potentially create a unique file name using format date time. So let's go ahead and do that. So using the expression format date time, open the bracket. If we use UTC now, that gives us the date and time now. And then I'm just going to use the year, the month, which has to be capital M's, because lowercase m's are minutes. And we've got the day, hours, minutes, seconds. And so that will give us a string as it's constructed there, the year, month, day, hours, minutes, seconds. And unless there are two flows that run at exactly the same time, we're not going to get the same file name. And we'll call it event doc.docx. And then the content of the file is the file content. So hopefully that makes sense. We get the file, we create a file which is unique with the file content from above. So our next step here is to update the file properties, and that's of our new file. And so the site address is as before. We want to do my new site. The library name is same as before, documents. Now the file ID is based on the create file. So we've got the item ID there, and you can see it's brought up the various column metadata. So because I've not got a Microsoft form this time providing this information, I'm just going to update my manual trigger and add in a series of inputs. So we'll have the event name, and we will have the event description, and finally, subheading. Slightly out of order, but it doesn't really matter. And so when the flow runs, it'll prompt me for these three things. But if you followed my video earlier, you could of course use your Microsoft form as your source of data. So we'll quickly just add those dynamic values in. So the event name, let's just search for it. Event name, subheading, there we go. And then the event description, there we go. So that's that complete now. Content ID. So I don't think we need this. I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit save and run it. So we're waiting for it to save. There we go, it's saved now. So we'll go ahead and click the test button. So this flow is going to obviously prompt me for 3 variables, and like I said earlier, you could potentially do as per the original demo and pull the data from a Microsoft form. So the event name is end of COVID party. Maybe I'm tempting fate. The event description, hopefully we've all had our vaccines and the world will be a healthier place. Again, wishful thinking. And the subheading, it's been a while. Say hello. So I go ahead and run that flow, and all being well, we'll get our green tick. Got our green tick. Okay, so back to our new site. We can see our new document here, which is based on the date and the time, and then with event doc at the end of it. If I just get this out of the way. So you can see here, we've got our event name, we've got our subheading, we've got our event description. So it's all looking good so far. If I go ahead and open that, now remember it won't display in the Word Online client. You need to open it in the desktop client. So we'll go ahead and open up the desktop client. And here we have it. So end of COVID party. It's been a while. Say hello, and hopefully we've all had our vaccines and the world will be a healthier place. So there's the demonstration. If you watch the other video, I show you how to convert the file into a PDF. But the aim of this video really was to cover the content types and how it might be easier for you to set up these additional columns using that piece of SharePoint functionality that you might not have otherwise heard of. So if you've got multiple different templates, you could create multiple different content types without overcomplicating your document library. Hopefully that was of use. Hopefully you followed it, and please make sure you like the video and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. Thanks for watching.